Hey everyone, this is Jake, and today we are finally going to be talking about Regina, which is upcoming counterpass units, and you can get her later down the road as well, but she is pretty good units in my opinion when it comes to PB contents. So we'll talk about how good really is Regina when it comes to those contents and what you can expect from her in the future as well for many other contents out there. So let's jump into video and talk about Regina. So Regina, she is 3 cost counter supported units, and she moves around as a ground type units, and she is able to attack ground units. Her basic attack is pretty simple. She is just doing some AoE damage to targets in front of her, but passive skill is when she gets to kind of interesting. So every time she loses 25% of her HP, she inflicts AoE damage on surrounding enemies, and this skill decreases the enemy's healing amounts and attack speed by 20% for 5 seconds, and these values are doubled for mechanic units. And as you level up the skill, you'll be getting more HP for Regina, and when you max out the skill, the damage taken minus 30% for 5 seconds after passive skill is triggered, and against mechanic units, it'll be doubled. So she'll be getting 60% damage resistance against mechanic units. So this makes her really tanky against mechanic units. This allows her to be used in many different PB contents if you are facing mechanics. Her special skill is able to summon this ice wall, which does AoE damage, and this is able to stun mechanics for 4 seconds, which comes really useful when you fight against mechanic units. The summon ice cannot be healed, so they are just objects that she is able to summon, and they are able to also kind of aggro enemies and able to attack those ice walls instead of Regina or other characters around it. And when you max out the skill, this ice instantly creates a barrier equal to 10% of max HP surrounding allies. This definitely helps your units to tank more hits from the AoE attacks from mechanic units within PB contents, and she becomes really useful. And finally, with her ultimate skill, she's able to do AoE damage, and enemies who got hit by the skill, they'll lose 15% of attack and attack speed for 14 seconds, and these values are doubled for mechanic units. Compared to Einstein Spy, which is the first counterpass units we had, she's definitely a little bit underwhelming compared to them, but Regina is definitely good against mechanic units within PB contents, and in the future there are certain very challenging mechanic stages that you need to fight through, and Regina can really help you out throughout those matches, and she is actually pretty decent units in the dive. Like I said, she is actually able to tank pretty well and able to summon these ice walls and kind of slow their attack speed and such. So you will probably not regret pulling out Regina, and supporter units are pretty strong after operators came out because they are pretty good triggers. So Regina, I think for PB contents, it deserves more scores than a lot of people say she is. So let's talk about gear set for Regina. And before we start, when I usually talk about this kind of gear options within this video or any other review videos, I try to show you the kind of best gears that you can use for the character. Of course, you're probably not going to be able to get there right away. It will take some time, you'll probably not have this gear and such, but wouldn't really stress out because character itself, when you max out their skills, they are pretty strong itself. The gear definitely helps you out, and to complete the character, don't worry too much about whatever gears you have. This is pretty early on still, I wouldn't really stress about it. The first gear I would definitely say is probably the Hummingbird as well as the Gordia series. This type of gears gives nice ground damage resistance or range or close range damage resistance. So you definitely want to use these, and you can roll some of the skill haste in the bottom because the more she triggers the skill, it definitely is better. But these are kind of setup that you want to use in the future. I talked about in my gear video that I posted a while ago that you want to save up the maze case with the HP set for a while because this is definitely one of the best pieces when it comes to tank units, and you definitely want to have this because it can give skill haste or crit damage resistance for the bottom options and able to get the nice anti-ground damage as the main options. But overall, I think these are probably the most basic setup you're going to see if you ever run into her or use her within PvE. Now, this is another option you can definitely use for her. So instead of full tanky setup, you kind of want to go with the pieces that gives damage resistance. But if you happen to roll the cooldown set on it, this is the spot to use them, because this way she will be able to tank some damage by able to get some anti-ground damage resistance or the crit damage resistance and such, and still able to get some nice skill haste on the way so she can trigger skills faster. This gear is definitely less useful against bosses, because the bosses you're gonna see I fight is going to be hit much harder, so she won't be able to really survive with this gears. But if you're fighting against opponents that's not strong as some of these endgame tier bosses, these cooldown sets will definitely come handy, and she should be able to tank well and get some heals from your supporting units and still be able to survive within the field while still maintaining skill haste to spam skills a little bit faster than just using full defensive sets. So let's talk about Regina within PvP contents. I think one of the main thing you're gonna use her in the future, not right now, but in the future when the Rally Challenge Dungeons comes out, fighting against this huge red looking titan, and this thing hits like a truck and it is very strong. From the roadmap, it seems like they're not releasing Rally Challenge Dungeons anytime soon. But when they come out and when you have Regina will really shine. Regina can stun them as well as slow their attack speed, and she's also able to take a lot of damage from mechanic units due to her passive skill giving her damage resistance from the mechanic units. So it is pretty useful character that you can use for the 3 costs and able to tank at the front. She's also a pretty good way to trigger Team Hana, so when you actually try to clear the stages, you'll be pretty happy that you have Regina in your hand. As for the PvP side, Regina is definitely not really good. I tried to get some couple matches here within Korean server today, and it definitely was not successful. I had a lot of bad matches, lost a lot of scores. I won a couple times, but it was not because of Regina, it's because of other units. And if anything, Regina made me lose a couple matches that I could have won. So using 3 costs on other units are so much better choice when it comes to playing within PvP. For global server, it might be a little bit different. I think she could be decent meat shield depending on the week, and if all the defenders are banned, then you don't really have a great striker. I think you can try to use Regina to a certain level and trying to take a couple of hits from the enemies. But it's pretty much that. She is still pretty decent against mechanics within PvP though. But right now for global server, there is pretty much no mechanic units that is used within PvP. So Regina probably wouldn't be the best pick for you when it comes to that sense. But overall, she is still pretty amazing in that one spot within PvE content, and that makes her so worth it, because that is such a crucial stage that you need to clear to upgrade your gears to T7 in the future. So when you have Regina from the counter pass units, I'll definitely invest into her and take it slowly. But eventually in the future, you'll be happy that you have like level 110 Regina in your hand, because it will definitely help you out within those stage. But that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is Jake. I will see you guys next time in my other videos. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.